What if I told you that one of the most beautiful flowers in your backyard every spring is not only edible, but it's incredibly nutritious? Even the flowers themselves are edible. Chances are you've been walking over these flowers all of your life. In this episode, we're going to take a closer look at wild violets and learn their history, their edibility, their nutrition, their decorative value, and how they can also make an amazing native planting in your backyard. Hi, this is Frank Taylor with Nature at Your Door, and I'm here in my backyard surrounded by violets. It's April 15th in Southwest Virginia here in the Appalachian Mountains. Listen, you don't have to hike to an exotic location. You don't have to go deep in the forest. You don't have to be a herbalist, a prepper, or a naturalist to be able to appreciate, find, and use these amazing plants that, like I said, are in your backyard. Most people call it a weed, but it's anything but. These are the wild violets, most commonly Viola sororia. Let's first look to how to understand to identify these wild violets with 100% certainty. The first thing, of course, you look for is these beautiful flowers. They range from deep violet to blues to lighter colors and whites, and sometimes a mix of the two. There are over 200 violet species in North America, and they hybridize readily. If you look at the flower closely, you'll see it has 2 upper petals, 2 side petals, and 1 lower petal. The lower petal is often elongated into a spur if you look behind the flower. The flower stalk typically curves down at the top. This is known as a nodding flower stalk and has the shape of an upside down J. If you look at that bottom petal, you'll see that there's lines on it. And these lines are to guide a bee right to the place where the nectar is. But to get to the nectar in that spur, they have to go through what's called the bearded throat. And these are the stamens that will brush pollen on the sides of the bee to carry from flower to flower and pollinate all the other flowers. The leaves are distinctly heart-shaped, a little bit hairy on the bottom sometimes, and they're always growing out of a central base. There's no stem. You'll see flower stalks, but the leaves all radiate out from this common point. So where can you find these violets? Well, I've found them here in my back lawn on the side of the house, and I am amazed by how many violets and how many flowers and how many plants are sprouting up here very early in the spring. It's before the leaves have come out on the trees, and they're able to compete with all these grasses all around them. If I go down into the woods on one of my Jeep trails where it crosses a creek and I have a wet area, the violets are thriving. And here I've got so many of these purple ones. It's just so amazing to see their abundance and their vigorous growth in this place. So these violet flowers are very edible and they're slightly sweet. They have a nice crunch to them and they make a great trail nibble. You can add these beautiful edible flowers as a vibrant addition to salads, as if you were a master chef making an exotic, attractive plating. In the spring, I love to make a tea from the flowers. All you need to do is collect a handful of flowers and pour hot water, not boiling water, but hot water over them and let them steep for a few minutes. You can strain these blossoms and you get this beautiful blue tea. And you can add a little bit of honey to it to taste. The interesting thing is your tea will be blue like this, but just add a squeeze of lemon juice and suddenly it will change to pink and you'll have this amazing pink tea. In turn, you could take this tea and refrigerate it and make a refreshing cool drink with ice. And speaking of ice, thrill your friends and guests by making ice cubes with these flowers frozen inside. Doesn't that make a fantastic looking tall drink? You can make a violet syrup to store for year-round for cocktails and mock cocktails or lemonades, and simply add club soda as described in this recipe from Spruce Eats. But the real nutritional impact is from these leaves. They really taste great. Something in between a salad with a little more flavor, nice crunch to them. Beautiful thing to have to eat. Beautiful additive in salads. And these leaves are packed with nutrition. I actually weighed out 50 grams of leaves, which came out to be a slightly packed cup of violet leaves. And what I read was that 50 grams of violet leaves can have as much as 132 milligrams of vitamin C in that. Compare that to an orange averaging around 50 milligrams of vitamin C per orange. You would have to eat 2 or 3 oranges to have the equivalent vitamin C that's contained in this 50 milligram cup of violet leaves. Violets have been used for thousands of years. The Greeks and the Romans ate them. And the Romans were particularly fond of a violet wine they could make with these. In the Victorian era, violets were used as a height of fashion in hats and in their hair, and to make a really fantastic violet perfume. Long before the settlers arrived, the indigenous peoples and the Native Americans used violets in their diets and for medicine as well. Later in our history, it was critical for settlers who had survived winters on dried meats and legumes and dried herbs. Their bodies would have been desperate for vitamins found only in fresh fruits and fresh vegetables. So collecting these leaves first thing in the spring as they just popped up from the ground for them was so important for them to recover their needed vitamins, minerals, and nutrients. In addition to vitamin C, they are rich in so many other vitamins, including vitamin A with around 20,000 IU units in it. Antioxidants, especially a flavonoid called rutin, anti-inflammatories, and so many minerals make these violet leaves even better for your health. In terms of nutrient density, violets far outweigh the nutrition in store-bought vegetables. It's well known that so many backyard plants that we call weeds are so much more rich in all these nutrients and minerals and vitamins than most anything on a store shelf. You need to remember that many of these vegetables on the store shelf have been bred for longevity, shelf life, for their looks, for their growth rate, and for their ability to be shipped long distances. Word of caution, of course, whenever you eat foods out in nature, be it plants or fungi, make sure you are 100% certain of the identity of the plant that's in question. Also need to make a note that the African violets that you may have in your house are not edible and are very toxic. And I almost forgot to say, but I think it's obvious, don't collect these anywhere where herbicides or pesticides have been laid down or sprayed, and don't collect them off roadsides that could contain a lot of pollutants. These violets aren't only important to us, but they're also important to wildlife. They're super important, providing nectar and pollen for many species of native bees as well as our domestic bees. And they're hosts for many of our native butterfly species, in particular the fritillary butterflies. Their larvae feed on violet leaves as well. For these reasons, violets make a fantastic native planting. It's a beautiful ground cover, and it can grow in such a wide variety of conditions. Again, I'm stunned by how many flowers are produced and how they mix into the lawn environment. And of course, they grow very well in damp woodlands. They seem to thrive in shade or bright sun, and they're even growing underneath my pine trees. I mean, what can you find growing underneath pine trees? Look at these violets thriving here in the pine needles. Of course, I'm a big advocate of native planting, and this is one that grows so easily and thrives everywhere, comes back every year. It can be a great ground cover, and you're doing something positive for our environment. I'm in the process of doing a number of episodes featuring these backyard plants that are both edible and nutritious, the things that we just call weeds that somehow have fell away after thousands of years as a daily part of our diet. Remember, if you like what I do on this channel, please subscribe, give me a like, and leave me a comment. I love hearing from my viewers. And remember, I cover all things nature, from frogs, toads, snakes, turtles, the myriapoda, insects, trees, wildflowers, and fungi. I cover all the things you might encounter just outside your door. So thanks again for watching this episode of Nature at Your Door.